got some Ludwig type beat from Zach for the opener.
That's not really Ludwig. That's
nerd.
Fuck it. Fuck it. I'm your host, Aiden O'Meara. This is the Mintcast episode, was it 5? 6? I don't fucking know. We have my guest today. Our first one that isn't Robert in 3 weeks now? Right, Zach? All right. Lubrication technician and expert in the field, Dean Sherman.
Dean, tell us a little bit about what it takes to become a lubrication technician.
I applied to Jiffy Lube. They say, all right, you have to do online training. I didn't learn jack shit, but I got paid to sit in front of a computer for 14 hours. And then they taught me everything on the job, which is not that much.
So where does the lubrication come into it?
Lubrication comes, it's Jiffy Lube. That's really it.
That's all.
That's really it.
You ever lube a dick up, or?
I mean, technically yes, but not at work.
Not at work.
I mean, yes at work, but that's just, it's part of the job. It's something I get paid for. I'm not proud of it.
Yeah. Some extra customer service from the guys, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's big tip money.
You get them walking out happy. Nothing wrong with that. Be proud.
You were saying the piano pedal, that slurs?
Yeah, it makes stuff sound different. Like if I just played a note, it'd be like that. But then if I slurred it, it would... Or no, that's a different note, but... Instead of...
Yeah, I always thought that was an interesting difference between the guitar and the piano, because I play guitar. The piano is the instrument for theory.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It's all based off of the piano.
Yeah, the only reason
all the theory people play piano, but it seems, at least to me, with guitar you can put so much more emotion into a single note, with bends or vibrato or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in terms of actual playing of the piano, not the pedals, because pedals are introduced to kind of accommodate for the weaker speech of a lot of the piano's notes. But an instrument like a guitar, a violin, you can do a lot more in changing how you sound than a piano. But a piano is more of just an instrument, as you said, for music theory, and something where you can play a bass line and a melody very easily.
There's a band I really like called All Them Wishes, where the keyboardist runs his... I saw him play live once. He had 3 keyboards. He had one above the other one, and one to his left. And
play one with his toes, or
he would run them all through different guitar pedals. So he would be playing distorted keyboard or fuzzed out keyboard or something like that, and it was awesome.
So we're kind of talking about music here, which I didn't expect actually.
It's a music podcast.
Yeah, well, no, it was kind of a music podcast.
Music and culture.
Yeah, the first half we always do music. Although this episode we already recorded one this week, so we're not gonna do the review section. Obviously, we already ran through 25 records last time. So we kind of just wanted to have the second half of the podcast be the full podcast this time. And now we're already kind of in music. I wanted to ask you if you could choose one thing, one idea or perspective that you think defines your taste in music, your outlook on music, what would it be?
See,
it could be a song, an idea,
tough
anything.
Because, until fairly recently in my life, I wasn't a very musical person. I like music, but didn't really know or care that much about it. So recently, I've been learning a lot more about it, and trying to vary my tastes as much as possible. But something that I guess would make me different in my music taste is I like stuff that's kind of weird. Not necessarily it doesn't have to be bizarre weird, Primus type stuff, even though I like them. But
not full Denzel Curry.
Yeah, but just if there's anything different about it, you know what I mean? If there's something that you hear it and you go, that's
that you can latch on to a unique concept within the material.
Yeah, something that... unique isn't the best word for it, but just kind of weird.
Okay.
Funky. I like funk type stuff.
Okay.
Just anything that sounds a little odd.
So what's an artist for you that like defines that for you?
Well, I mean, Primus kind of, because their whole thing is just bizarre, like Winona's Big Brown Beaver, just weird, but to a lesser extent, but something I like about them is I was driving somewhere and a couple friends were in the car, and we were all just playing Brockhampton on shuffle, and one of my friends goes, yeah, if I hear a rap song that just sounds kind of weird, I assume it's Brockhampton.
They have like really kind of taken over that scene. Like, I mean, for a while it was the Odd Future group, and like Odd Future clearly influences Brockhampton to like a pretty severe extent.
Just in general.
Well, yeah, like they redefined rap post 2012.
You told me before I knew anything about Odd Future, before I was very musical. You told me that they were this generation's Sex Pistols.
Yeah.
And
like it is.
That's a pretty good way to describe it.
It's a great idea, great personalities, but as a group together, pretty shitty. Very Sex Pistols like for me. I mean, like, sure, like those guys didn't go on to have great solo careers, whereas Odd Future has brought us the work of Tyler and Frank Ocean, and
Tyler's
Sid,
like that
Earl
too.
Sweatshirt.
Tyler's like that too. We're just kind of weird,
yeah,
but in a really good way that I like.
Yeah, and he's had so many different phases, because you can look at him with something like Goblin or Wolf, where he was all about being controversial. Yeah. And then he goes into Cherry Bomb, which was like trying to mix that aggression with sort of like a beauty, but it kind of fucked up because it was a bit of a mess as a record. And then he perfected it with Flower Boy, one of the best records of the generation, I think. But I mean, for sure, Flower Boy is the epitome of just like purely fucking weird, but still entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, you can look at tracks like Boredom, and then compare it to something like Who Dat Boy. They're on the same record, but they're so tonally unique, but still somehow work.
You should do a or just an idea. Not saying you should do it, but something on the music section where you just, like you said, you did 25 records last time. Maybe make one of them like a classic record, where it's like a classic.
I was thinking about that.
Like,
yeah.
Could be anything by classic, like a classic rap album, or something like old rock, or even older than that. It's
because something I try to do with this podcast is I try to like talk about artists that people don't know right now. So like I'm a big proponent of like people like he's kind of blowing up right now, but people like JID, talking about people like Lou the Human out of Staten Island, people that like they have small fan bases and they're kind of slowly building. But I think that a lot of people, particularly our age, don't know about them, don't actually follow them. So I try to talk about them a lot, but I mean, also for sure, there's a lot of artists from the 60s, the 70s, 80s, on and on and on. You can go back to fucking 1800s if you wanted to. That the people, like, again, particularly our age, don't know about. So that is a good idea, actually. I will try to work that in.
I've been listening to a lot of, way more than I usually do, of classic blues lately, like John Lee Hooker type stuff, and
I went on a hardcore Miles Davis binge the other day. I don't know why.
No, but it's cool seeing how much it influenced what became rock. It grew into rock. Mm-hmm. So it's cool seeing that. Because
at first it influenced a lot of, because folk began essentially as the white version of blues. Mm-hmm. People like Bob Dylan is so clearly influenced by a lot of the blues artists of the 40s and 30s. And then his career in the 60s quickly became, here is jazz for white people and blues for white people. And then as folk began to influence rock more and more, people like Dylan and Hendrix working together, and that slowly built into more lyrical rock music, which we lost for a long time as rock became way more about musicality than it did lyricism.
Yeah.
And then now is kind of returning to lyrics to an occasionally cringy extent with like a lot of the indie rock bands right now.
I mean, every indie folk song sounds the same to my ears. Yeah. This is coming from
there's great versions of that song.
There's great indie.
But they're all the same song.
There's great indie out there that I like, but the folkier side of indie, I just haven't been able to get into because it sounds so
there were two artists we talked about last episode that I think you might like. There's Amanda Shires. She's this sort of folky but still very musical indie rock artist. She's from the South. She's like a very distinct twang in her voice. Amazing guitar work on that record. And then also, if you want to look at Michael Now with his new record, it's called The Mighty Thread. He's a great folk artist. It's like his 13th record, but he's still not very big outside of like the super indie core scene. Yeah, I mean, for sure, a lot of modern indie folk is very, very homogenous, to a somewhat annoying degree.
I just don't know much about it, so I'm saying this as a
you have to go
outsider.
way into the scene to find some of the great stuff. Because like what blows up tends to be very mediocre. Yeah, like I mean, if you want to talk about people like Ricky Montgomery, who are sure they're talented songwriters, but musically they're so boring, and like that's who blows up right now. Because I think modern audiences, they're not really into songwriting. They're more about like emotion, which applies to I think almost every genre right now. So rock, folk, all of that which is barely even a genre to a lot of modern audiences. It's like don't consume it that often. A lot of that really is about emotional delivery rather than songwriting or musicality. And then you can also look at rap, where people like X, or who I think essentially was like an emo folk artist who just went under rap. Or
rap emo folk.
Exactly, that was fucking awful. Or 6ix9ine, Tekashi's like he doesn't write. He like not like as a diss to him. I can understand liking him. I don't myself, but his style of music essentially is to just scream into the mic. It's almost I almost think that like an emo audience in particular would love him. Like screamo audiences would fucking bang with 6ix9ine, because he's. I mean, he technically writes, but really his bars will stretch for like 30 to 40 seconds, and then it really does just become a hook. I'm going scum gang, like it's a lot of genres right now are slowly moving into emotion based delivery, which. I mean, I don't personally fuck with it, but I mean, I can get the appeal of it. So like, so you mostly, from what I understand, like you listen to a lot of metal, a lot
not
of
as
rock.
much anymore.
Not as much anymore.
A lot more when I was younger.
Yeah.
I mean, I still like it. Just I've branched out hard.
You introduced me to like a lot of metal bands that I fuck with still, like the Sword. I wasn't familiar with them before.
Sword. Their latest record is one of their least heavy, and I love it.
Yeah, Used Future was fantastic. They've slowly become almost like this what's the word I'm looking for? Almost like a cyber rock band. Very like laid back, but still kind of spacey.
Yeah,
Whereas their first two records are way more doomy.
There's a very retro sound that you hear a lot of people in the kind of modern blues type rock, type metal, type hard rock.
Like High Country is basically a blues rock record.
Yeah, you hear a lot of people try to go for a very retro, kind of vaguely psychedelic bluesy sound, and I like it. Because a lot of people have different takes on it.
I remember one you also introduced me to that I still love is I'm on a Marth.
I only know like 4 Amon Amarth songs.
Really?
Yeah.
I got into them like about 2 months ago. I remembered you recommended them, and I asked like some guy I worked at the mall for a little bit, and there was a guy that I think he had like a T-shirt of Amon Amarth, and it reminded me of it, so I put them on Spotify, and they're a really great Viking metal band.
Yeah, it's
just their sound's so aggressive.
I only know a couple of their songs because I was never big into death type stuff.
Yeah, I'm generally not either.
But I mean, like any genre, there's good stuff there.
Yeah.
I'm not.
You just have to find the ones that aren't so low. I mean,
because some of it. Yeah. I hate to use this word because I think in 2018 the word cringy has kind of run its course, but that's really the best word for it. Like, if your band name is Infant Annihilator, which that's a band, that's stupid. That's really stupid.
or like my issue with a lot of death metal and even a lot of emo music, particularly like in emo trap right now, is that it's simultaneously thinking that it's aggressive but coming across as mopey as fuck.
Like, if you're gonna be mopey, this is coming from someone who a couple months ago got hard into the Smiths. Be mopey. Be mopey.
I commit to it. Yeah. Like, the one thing that I appreciated about Lil Peep was that he fully committed to the idea of just depression on music. As much as I found him musically so boring, and even kind of masturbatory, for sure he committed. Almost every one of his songs sounded the same, but it still had an air of genuineness. There's a better word for that. What's the actual word for when you're actually genuine? Authentic. That's a better word than genuineness. All of his tracks sounded authentic. I mean, I agree. It is bad to write off a genre. Like, for a long time, I wrote off country pretty much entirely. And as much as I don't fuck with like a lot of modern country, but particularly as it's become more and more stadium heavy.
I hate to go with the it was better X years ago thing, even for band. Like, there's a lot of bands that I like their old stuff better. I don't like to say it because there's
come across as an old head.
There's the people who come across as very, like, it was better back in the 80s when rock rocked. And
who they won't listen to modern rap. They're still stuck on Pac and Biggie and
exactly.
And NWA.
And you don't want to come across as one of those people, but there are times when it's true.
Yeah, I read a really interesting essay about how rap, the reason that it's having a hard time evolving in the mainstream is because people that founded rap are still they're so stuck on their legends, that they rest their laurels on them so much that it basically prevents new artists from developing. So I mean, you can look at like Lil Xan, who for sure he's one of the worst rappers in the world right now, but him saying, I think Pac is overrated, and I can't tell you a single Biggie song. Also looking like Yachty at the same thing. I don't agree with them. I think Pac is, if anything, underrated. I think he's actually undervalued as shit sometimes. But simultaneously, you do have to kind of reject your predecessors, because if not, you're just going to be doing the same sound and you're going to lose any kind of edge because you don't develop it all. So if you're so stuck in the past with a genre, then you can't appreciate modern legends. You can't listen to someone like Kendrick is for sure himself an old head. He respects Pac like this is like the god almost. But you can't appreciate someone who's still a lyricist. You can't look at like Joey Badass or YBN Corday or Denzel Curry or Brockhampton. Almost every artist on there, you can't look at them and appreciate them fully if you're still so stuck 30 years in the past. And rock has that issue to the fucking hardcore right now.
Here's the thing: stuff like Greta Van Fleet.
I can't stand her. Yeah.
It's music is entertainment and music is art are somewhat different, at least in my mind, because there's songs that I can listen to because they're entertaining. Like, drive to work today, I was listening to Young Gravy. Not proud of it, but it's hilarious.
He kind of has that ugly god thing where if you listen to him as a joke, it works. Yeah. But the second you try to appreciate it as art,
exactly.
So you do have to have the mentality.
There's
he isn't like Ski Mask, where Ski Mask is constantly joking, but still has an amazing technical flow. Greta Van Fleet, thank you for bringing her up, because she I think like epitomizes the issue rock is having right now.
Greta Van, like, music is entertainment.
Yeah.
Highway Tune, good song, I like it. Or Black Smoke Rising, good song, I enjoyed it. But music is art,
I'm never going to be able to get past. You're trying to be
Zep. Yeah.
Whereas
Not even trying. You are copying Zep.
The best modern rock musicians are people. I mean, I can name them: Jack White, Queens of the Stone Age, stuff like that. I was talking about this with Andrew recently. The thing that makes them fantastic and the best of modern rock, at least in my mind, is that they have said to themselves, we're in a totally different era, we're still rock, but we are different rock, we're going to sound different.
Jack White's new album barely even sounds like rock. What, Lazaretto? The track Lazaretto?
No,
or the new album?
Boarding House Reach.
Boarding House Reach, yeah.
I like the album.
I think it's
I don't
wonderful.
really think it's a rock album, except for Over and Over and Over, which is a great song. But
it's kind of it's kind of like computer pop to me.
If you listen to White Stripes, which is
the group they were him and his sister. Right?
Jack White, how he grew famous, it's rock music for sure, but it is clearly very distinct from classic rock. It's
almost like a deconstruction of the genre to me.
It's stripped down. It's minimalistic. It's just great. And but still aggressive. And Queens of the Stone Age isn't as minimalistic. They're a full multi-piece band, but there's something very different about them than classic rock.
Even their most recent record, Villains, still feels like
Villains was their most poppy to me.
Yeah. But it still had that it still had that sort of melding of the idea of classic rock with a more modern, almost mid-2000s sound to me.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, like every genre has this issue right now. I mean, people like you can look at the folk scene, people that are still so hung up on the 60s era, sort of like the Greenwich Village movement. They can't accept Father John Misty. There's like a whole other issue with that. I think a lot of like self-hatred with that. But or you can look at like jazz again. The people only maybe because jazz is like kind of dying.
John Coltrane and Miles Davis.
Yeah, it's all they listen to. But so they don't appreciate newer artists. Like there's an amazing UK group called Sons of Kemet that you could almost never show it to a jazz guy because they're like, oh no, I'm going to listen to Coltrane, I'm going to listen to Davis, I'm going to listen to like Livingston, any number of like.
Those are the only two jazz musicians I can name.
Oh really? Yeah, I love jazz.
I'm sure I would. I just haven't taken any time to get into it.
Yeah, it's hard to get into jazz.
I've been doing the blues lately.
Yeah.
And anyway, off of music because this is a music podcast most of the time.
Yeah.
I don't know. How's everyone's summer going? Anyone done anything interesting?
One time I woke up before 4 p.m., which was
impressive.
Yeah,
wow, that's pretty dope.
Yeah,
that's
probably the highlight of my summer.
You poor soul.
I think I already told probably the biggest summer story on the last episode. Speaking of, because we're trying to make this a fairly short episode, we're going to do our story section real quick. So the story section, Dean, is you just tell any interesting story from your life. Yeah.
Okay.
Just a moment in your life that you think is insightful, funny, anything. I don't give a fuck.
Shit, you might have to give me a sec to think.
Yeah. You want to do one, Zach?
Tell about a story from my lifetime that I think is okay.
Anything.
So probably the proudest and saddest moment in my life was the day that I found out I was a male. Like, up until about age 8 or 9, my parents told me I was a female, and I believed them because I didn't know what a male was. I was like, sure. What, Aiden?
Is this a joke? I can't tell.
What the fuck? It's seriously not cool. It's fucked up. But yeah, I thought I was a female for like the first couple of years of my life. And my parents, like every time I'd ask them about it, I was like, hey, I went to kindergarten and my teacher thought I was a boy. What's going on? They would gaslight the shit out of me. They'd say, Zach, I don't know what you're talking about. Zach, what do you mean? Zach, are you lying to us? Zach, do we need to take away your video games? And I loved video games as a kid. Like Game Boys, that was my shit.
You
right?
still do.
Yeah, Game Boy, or not really. I consider myself
You play
more of
some
an
games.
ND alternative guy nowadays. But so, and I went into kindergarten class one day, and I was just fed up with my parents. I was like, you know what? Everybody thinks I'm a boy. I might as well be a boy, right? So I walked into class. I said, "Hey, I'm Zach," and every day we have to introduce ourselves because we had a new like TA in the classroom.
Okay.
So be like, "Hey, I'm Zach, and I'm a boy." And at that like literal exact moment, my parents jumped out with a gun and shot my teacher in the head. Every day since then, I've just kind of been scared to tell people I was male, but it's been a journey for sure.
You there was a great arc to that, because when you started, I was like, okay, this is a joke, but then you kind of slowly drew me in, to the point that I began to believe you.
Yeah,
A little bit.
It's a bad decision to make.
A little bit of. I was like, I mean, maybe you got blonde hair.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
there was-
not even. I don't have blonde hair.
Oh yeah.
It's a
That's right. Yeah,
thing
you
that has
dyed it when
happened
you dyed it.
before with
Yeah.
Parents.
There's a good movie this year called A Kid Like a Jake. It's like almost that exact
But,
plot
I mean,
line.
I guess this works for me because I've never met your parents. I mean, I'm sure if I had met them,
You'd have like a different idea
I would have
about
a
it.
So do they still think you're a girl?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I like honestly, I'm kind of done trying to convince them, and honestly, on some level, I'm done trying to convince myself. Regardless of the reality of the situation, the thing I have to live with is being a female. So I might as well just embrace that to the best of my ability.
Okay. Interesting.
What does that mean?
I thank you for your commitment
So
to the
as
bit.
long as we're doing stories that aren't literally true,
Oh.
I've been This is
more metaphorically true.
more metaphorically true.
Almost
friend
ethereal.
Friend of mine, maybe a week or so ago, convinced me to start writing down my dreams in the morning, and since then I've been remembering my dreams perfectly. I literally think it was as simple as me going, "I'm gonna start remembering my dreams now," and my brain's like, "All right, cool, we'll do that."
All right, dope, home.
And so every night but one since then I've had a dream, and I've always thought I was someone who didn't really dream, but I guess I just didn't remember them. But I had one that I wrote down where the crux of the dream was that I, in the dream, thought I was in a dream, so I killed a bunch of people in a casino, but it wasn't really a dream, like that episode of The Twilight Zone.
I'm saying like Inception.
Yeah, so
The opening of Inception.
yeah, here's my note that I wrote to myself at 4 in the morning. Dreamed I killed a shit ton of people in a casino. Mom was helping me. I think I thought it was all a dream or something, but eventually I got worried it wasn't, and surrendered. Whereupon Grandma Judy sat with me to comfort me, and told me not to go to the physical psychologist the court would appoint, because they'd want to do brain surgery, and that I should instead smoke marijuana. When I woke up, I was absolutely terrified that I was still a killer, and that waking up from a dream didn't make me a murderer. So I wake up at like 4 in the morning, I'm deliriously tired, and I thought I was a mass murderer. And then I fell back asleep into the dream, which only reinforced the kind of inception,
Yeah,
is it a
exactly,
dream or
yeah.
not nature. And it was just... So the moral of the story, the metaphorical underlying current of truth here...
Is that if Dean didn't have to take responsibilities for an action, he would be murdering people.
Basically, yeah. Essentially.
Okay.
Aiden, your turn to tell a metaphorical truth.
So okay, I can do a dream. So my oldest memory, that I have still, is when I was 3 years old. Actually, it was the night before my 3rd birthday.
My first memory is the morning of my 3rd birthday.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. This is the dream of the night before. E.T. touch. There we go. And so the dream was, and so my mom, she has there's like pictures of her. She has 2 very distinct time periods with her hair. In the 90s, she had this like long ass curly hair, and then she cut it and straightened it, and she's had that for like since I was
When
alive.
you say cut and straight, is it like mom haircut?
Yeah, like mom
Like,
haircut.
let me speak to your manager?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, like white mom haircut.
Yeah, just getting the
Yeah.
image in my head.
That's what she has for like the past 17 years now. And I actually never knew curly hair mom, but I've seen pictures of her. So in the dream, it was my 3rd birthday, and I had both my brothers and my mom, but she had curly hair. All right, and I remember. Fix that real quick. She had like the current hair, and we're all like outside. There's like a cake. There's people like running around like kids. There's like a bouncy house or something like that, I think. And then I turn to my left and I see curly hair mom walk up. And because I didn't know her, I'd never seen her speak, in my mind, I guess she was like a monster. And she walks up, and then my brain did like a zoom into her face, like a zoom jump, and she's just has like centipedes crawling out of her mouth and ants that are appearing out of her black eyes. And then all of the kids around me suddenly turn, stop, and then drop dead. And then my oldest brother does it also, which probably is some like emotional baggage. And then my mom grabs me, my closest brother, like my closest in age and probably closest in reality, grabs us and goes, run, run, run. And we turn around, and then old mom consumes new mom, and then we run and we hide in our garage behind my dad's motorcycle. And then all I remember before I woke up, and I was 3 years old now, is the figure of the Grim Reaper walking up, looking at us, and smiling. And that is my oldest memory.
Jesus fuck, dude.
Tells you a lot about me,
wonder
probably.
You're so fucked up. God damn. I thought you were just dumb, but you have some serious psychological baggage.
I was a 3-year-old Van Gogh. Oh. It's more like fucking Hieronymus Bosch than a Van Gogh.
Not really a Van Gogh thing.
Well, Van Gogh's more depressing in reality than he is through art. Bosch was a fairly normal dude who just painted fucking crazy. Or you can look like late Goya, maybe. This is an art history podcast now.
Where
Really?
Aiden proves how much smarter and more cultured
You
he
know-
is.
Well, you
once
know,
call
I
Aiden
mean,
dumb.
if you want to look at Goya's Rococo era versus the Black 14. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. That was center fucking skull, bro.
Oh my god.
Dean just threw a ball at me, I think. What was that?
It was some kind of dog tennis ball.
Don't fucking tase me, bro. So Zach's brother has a
think about
taser.
it, but I'll think about it.
How does
Okay.
it even work?
So, don't. What the
What's a
hell?
flashlight? It's multi-purpose.
Oh wow.
Dude.
It's
Well,
like the
okay,
Swiss
wait,
Army
wait,
knife of tasers.
It's like how you attach a flashlight to the barrel of a rifle. It's like
Like
what
a
if you have to
bo- like
tase
a
someone
bot-
in the
like a-
dark?
like a-
Alright?
like a
You're
bottle opener pops out.
No, you're going through a dark house, and all you know, there's a guy inside, and you gotta tase him. How are you gonna find him? The light.
The light always finds a
But,
way.
I mean, that seems like an oddly specific scenario to be in.
When you have to
Ow,
tase
fuck,
someone in
it's so
the
bright.
dark without seeing them.
Yeah.
Well, that was episode 5. I think it's 5. I'm pretty sure it's 5. It's 5. It was very short this time, for sure. But, you know, we had a long episode last time, so this will kind of balance that out. But we'll have you back for a longer episode at some time. Dean, holy shit. So you guys have heard
Figure it
that?
out.
To end the episode with tase
Tase
in the
Aiden.
ass.
Oh, God. I just like die. I'm just going on fucking cardiac arrest. This is the 5th and final episode of the Mintcast. Thank you guys for listening. We don't have a name.
Fifth and final?
Yeah, because I died.
Yeah.
Oh, like with the
Oh.
bit. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay, it's a bit.
We don't have a name for our listeners. I just realized that. Like Cody Coe and them have the Chositers.
See, I think it's something that has to come about naturally.
Yeah.
Like a nickname.
Like the Mint Bitches.
It's real. Probably not. Probably reconsider.
Alright. Anyway, peace out, mint bitches.